Hello everyone, TheMrTrails here, and today we are going to be going over extra stuff about the Gauntlet game mode that I wasn't able to get to in the original video. And as soon as this update is dropping tomorrow, I am going to be live over on the Twitch, twitch.tv/TheMrTrails, and we are going to be doing some cosmetic hunt pass giveaways, so stop on by if you want a chance to win. And of course, we will be indulging in the new Gauntlet game mode. And look at me, I got my life put together right now. I got a boom arm again, Nasher has his tail again. My cat Milo here is just being adorable for the actual content of the video. But let's go ahead and talk about the Gauntlet game mode here. And I do want to reiterate from the first 1.12.3 video that you are going to want to use a level 20 weapon when you are playing the Gauntlet mode. At least on launch, this is not going to be a stellar way to gain weapon experience or do reforging. And weapon power is not normalized in this game mode. So when you see that, the first level is level 10, but when you get to level 5, it's already level 18. And then when you get to level 21, it is already level 22. Yeah, it's not going to be a great way to go about getting weapon experience on launch, at least. I can't say exactly just yet what they are doing, but they are experimenting currently with making the level stuff a little bit more bearable for when you're playing Gauntlet game mode. Next, let's go over something I think I completely forgot about in the initial 1.12.3 video, and it's that talking about the crests payout. I wanted to double check on it before putting it in the script, but then I just never actually put it in the script. So you do get a crest every 5 levels of the game mode, but you are going to be getting extra crests for whatever your guild progress is. I believe every milestone you'll be getting some bonus guild rewards as well. So every 5 levels that your guild completes, you should be getting bonus crests for the guild completing that as well. So the rewards are split up between your guild progression and your own personal progression. And like I said in the original video, you do have to do these milestones yourself to get that crest for yourself. So that's just a couple of things I wanted to mention here quickly, and now I want to go over some tips and tricks to help you get off to the best start possible in the Gauntlet game mode. So as we went over in the 1.12.3 video, the behemoths and their location spawns are already predetermined at the start of the hunt, and each of the arena locations actually starts with a different letter. So something you can do before you go into a level is you can look at where the spawns are going to be happening, and then you can type out the first letter of each of the spawn arenas. So here we have PFPFP, and then you can have that in the chat box so you know where you're going to be going after you have killed each behemoth. That was something I gave some feedback on. I wanted to see like some sort of small HUD element like that would at least tell you where to go next. But if you're really worried about it, then you can do that sort of thing. And then if we go to one of these other levels, we can see we can do PFPHF, and that is going to be Plaza, Forge, Plaza, Hangar, Forge. And what I also want to do here is go through each of the behemoth setups in the cycle to give you some insight as to maybe what sort of builds you might want to run. So again, these levels do actually scale up pretty quickly. You can probably use pretty much anything on level 1, but when you get to level 21, they're already going to be level 22, so you are going to want to bring something at least pretty good. And I have moved my camera out of the way here. So the first level of each cycle, we are going to have Nasher, Quillshot, Shrike, Skarn, and Boreas. So something you want to note is what element are the behemoths, and therefore what weapon element should I choose to have the best time here. Our first 3 behemoths here are neutral, but then we have Skarn, and that's a Terra, and Boreas, who is a Frost. So this is going to be a tie between Shock and Blaze for which is going to be better, and I would probably lean towards Shock here. That way you can teleport to each of the behemoths with the Malkarian legendary weapons. And we're going to do that same thing for the rest of the levels of the cycle. So we have Embermane, Karabak, Fenroar, Moonraver Shrike, and Frostwolf. So this level you're basically going to want to use a Shock weapon because you have 2 advantages and then 3 neutrals on those. But if you were to bring a Frost weapon for Embermane, you have Frostwolf in the back, so that's just going to cancel out whatever advantage you gain from that. And then we go to level 3. We have Koshai, Riftstalker, Savit, Shroud, and Phalanx. So the best option here is probably going to be a Radiant weapon. You can probably also get away with the Frostwolf weapon bond on this one, seeing as you'll have 1 advantage and the Frostwolf weapons are just pretty dang good. And you are most likely going to want to use tonics, at least when it gets to the later levels. These are going to be a lot more like Dauntless trial runs, and these levels are going to go to the point where even if you're really stingy about when you use your tonics, you are probably going to want to use them on these levels. And then we have level 4. We have Nezaga, Hellion Durask, Charog, and Stormclaw. Honestly, this would probably be a tie between Terror weapons and Frost weapons, even though you only have 2 Blaze behemoths that you're going to be getting advantage from the Frost weapon. Again, Frostwolf weapons are just pretty darn good. So you can probably run the Frostwolf bond or the Karabak bond and be fine here. And something I mentioned in yesterday's video is that some of these levels might feel easier to you even if they are a further ahead levels. Because honestly, honestly, I would probably say that level 3's Behemoth setup is quite a bit harder than level 4's Behemoth setup. And then we have the 5th level of each cycle. This is going to be one of those that you are going to get a crest from, and these are going to have Pangar, Alira, Scrave, Rezakiri, and Valomir. So this is probably going to be a good option for Umbral weapons, seeing as you have 3 advantages here. Blaze is also an option, but you would probably prefer Umbral here because you have 3 Behemoths, and these ones in particular have quite a bit more health than a standard Behemoth does. And then we have the 6th level of the cycles, where we finally get a 2 Behemoth fight. We have Thunderdeep Drask, Shockjaw Nezaga, Tempestborn, Stormclaw, Savit, plus Drask on round 4, and then Malkarian at the end. And that's sort of how the next few levels go as well. They are monotyped levels, so these are honestly a little bit more of a specific element escalation than escalations themselves, though you of course do have escalation amps to spice things up. But obviously with this setup we are going to go with a Terra weapon. The Karabac Bond is the best for that, and as I said, that's going to continue for these next few levels. So level 7 we are going to have all Blaze Behemoths, and it's going to go in the same order as the escalation releases, by the way. So for level 7 of the cycle we are going to have Bloodfire Emberbane, Firebrand Charog, the Flameborn Nasher and Flameborn Quillshot on round 3, and then Scorchstone Hellion and Flameborn Rezakiri at the end. So of course you are going to be using a Frost weapon here. Then for level 8, we have Shadow Touch Drask, Shadow Touch Nezaga, Shadow Touch Koshai, Shroud, and then Bloodshot Shroud. So of course we'll use a Radiant weapon here. Gauntlet cycles level 9 are going to be Terra escalations basically, so you're going to have Rockfall Skarn, Razorwing Karabac, Earthshaper Fenrir, and then Fenrir plus Karabac, and then Sporestruck Charog. And then our Frost escalation here is going to be at level 10 for those crests, so we're going to have Dreadfrost Boreas, Frostback Pangar, Deep Frost Nasher, Deep Frost Skarn, and Winterhorn Scrave. So of course, Blaze weapon build here, Shock weapon build here. And then the 11th level of each cycle is going to be a Radiant escalation. So we have Lightbound Koshai, Alira, Lightbound Boreas, Rezakiri, and Chronivore. And then the 12th level of the Gauntlet cycle is going to depart from the monotyping. So we will be mixed elements again. And here we're going to have Rockfall Skarn, Valomir, Dreadfrost Boreas, Sporestruck Charog, and Frostback Pangar. So here we're probably going to be looking at a Shock or Blaze weapon, and I would again probably lean toward the Shock weapon here because Boreas and Pangar are going to be a little bit easier to deal with even if you don't have a Blaze weapon than Sporestruck Charog and Rockfall Skarn would probably be if you don't have a Shock weapon. You could also safely go for an Umbral option here, but you probably don't want to, seeing as you will gain more advantage from the other ones. Gauntlet cycle level 13, we are going to have Bloodfire Emberbane, Riftstalker, Razorwing Karabac, Tempestborn Stormclaw, and Moonraver Shrike. And this is the first little taste you'll be receiving of a full level modifier, so Momentum is going to be the modifier on all of these guys here, seeing as all of these have interruptible attacks. So if you miss these interrupts, they are going to start dealing more damage. We also had a little bit of that going on in level 12, where Rockfall Skarn, Sporestruck Charog, and Frostback Pangar are also going to have the Tough Hide modifier on all 3 of those guys. This is Editing Trails, and I didn't mention what weapon. You should probably use a Frost weapon bond on this one. And then at level 14, you are going to experience a new modifier for the Gauntlet game mode, and that is Stonehide. This is going to be on Shadow Touch Drask, Thunderdeep Drask, and Deadeye Quillshot on this one. And then the Dreadfrost Boreas and Ragetail Nasher are not going to have it, but it is a pretty terrifying modifier. Behemoths are going to have twice as much HP with this modifier on, but lose 10% of their health each time they are staggered. And yo, Editing Trails here, I wanted to put this in here at this point as well because there is another new modifier that is very terrifying. It is called Vitality. And I didn't go over this because it doesn't show up in the first cycle, but this modifier, Behemoths are going to heal continuously, but they will die when all of their parts are broken. So for this cycle, you are going to need a part damage build specifically. I didn't play this exact level, but I would say the stagger thresholds are actually pretty forgiving and Slayer oriented on this on the Gauntlet game mode as a whole, because even running these solo, I was able to get a couple of staggers off on Behemoths really early in the fight. So at least the first round of this probably won't be so bad. I'd say the strategy here then is, seeing as you need to get part breaks in this game mode for extra time, then you are probably going to just want to focus all the parts, get them all broken, and then focus specifically the head to get as many staggers as you can. Editing Trails again here, I would probably recommend Blaze weapons for level 14 of the cycles. And then we have the 15th level of each cycle. Again, this is going to be another one you get crests from, and this one's also a bit of a doozy. We have Rezakiri, Flameborn Rezakiri, Phalanx, Ragetail Nasher, and then Flameborn Rezakiri plus Rezakiri on the same fight. But this is 100% going to be a bring a Frostwolf weapon to this kind of level. You could probably also argue for Umbral, but I would say that you definitely want that elemental advantage against Phalanx, and the regular Rezakiri I would say is a bit less of a threat than Flameborn Rezakiri. Then we have level 16, where we have a ton of double battles here for round 1, 3, and 5. For round 1, Deadeye Quillshot and Flameborn Quillshot. Round 2, regular Nasher. That's a nice little break there. Round 3, Flameborn Nasher and Deep Frost Nasher. Round 4, regular Embermane. Round 5 is going to be Fenrir and Frostwolf. So element-wise here, you are probably going to want to skip Blaze and Frost, seeing as those are most of our behemoths here. So I would say probably Shock is the best option here. Seeing as it'll be neutral to all 7 of these behemoths, it'll be a pretty normal fight, and then you'll just get a little extra bonus damage against Fenrir here. So Shock weapon for that one. But then round 17 here, they really leaned into the opposite elements thing. So we have round 1, Shadow Touch Nezaga, round 2, Firebrand Charug, round 3, Deep Frost Skarn, round 4, Tempestborn Stormclaw, and round 5, Earthshaper Fenrir. So if you don't want to have any fights where you have elemental disadvantage, then this basically leaves you with a radiant weapon or a neutral weapon. And I didn't go over it the first time it came up. I don't believe this has been used before. It's the entropy modifier, and that's mainly featured on round 8 here as the first time you would see it. And this is going to have physical attacks cause corruption to you, which honestly won't be too bad, seeing as you can just get rid of it by hitting the behemoth again. But yeah, you will probably want a radiant weapon for this one. And then the 18th level of each cycle is going to be Drask, Nezaga, Winterhorn Scrave, Deep Frost Nasher, Deep Frost Skarn, Shakja Nezaga, and then Savit and Stormclaw. So you do gain quite a bit of extra advantage for going for the Terra weapon here, so you should probably run a Terra weapon on this one. On the 19th level of each cycle, we are then going to have Flameborn Nasher, Razorwing Carabac, Scorchstone Hellion, Flameborn Quillshot, and Rockfall Skarn. While Shock is an option here, it makes a little more sense to go with the Frostwolf Bond, seeing as you have more behemoths that it will give you elemental advantage on, and is just better as a bond. On this level, we're also going to have a mix of the Stonehide and Toughhide modifiers, so yeah, it's not going to be a fun time. And then the 20th level of each cycle is again going to be one where you get a crest for completing, and this one is going to be the escalation of escalation bosses. So you will have Malkarian, Targadoro, Chronivore, Thrax, and Urska all back to back. And this level is basically what they were teasing at when they were releasing the trailer here. All of these escalation bosses are going to be in the same level here. And in this one and the entire cycle as a whole, I think, Agorist is just not present. So basically your options here are going to be the Carabac Bond or a neutral weapon if you don't want to have a fight where you don't have elemental advantage, or at least being neutral. But then, once you get through all 20 of those levels, they will repeat. So we have the same behemoth cycle each time that we go through 1 through 20. Down at the bottom, we will have these same behemoths here. But as I already went over, they will be getting stronger each time you go through one of these cycles. So at Gauntlet level 21, we're going to have level 22 behemoths instead of the level 10 behemoths of the previous level. It does kind of slowly creep up the difficulty. You know, you have level 23, then it will be level 24, and then level 81 is going to be level 25, and then level 101 is just going to reduce your timer. I don't believe all of the levels change in the exact same way for each cycle, but they do eventually get rather difficult. Once you get to level 561, we have 4 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock to start, and we have level 25 behemoths still. But there's also going to be some hidden stats beyond this. So we have these 3 levels basically have the same thing listed for all of the behemoths, but these are going to have different HP values, different part damage HP values, different stagger damage HP values, but they just didn't have anywhere to include that sort of a thing. The average player isn't necessarily going to care about knowing that this has a 200,000 stagger damage shield, and then this one has a 300,000 stagger damage shield. But yeah, even though these levels do look the same, they are not going to be the exact same. But yeah, that's basically the cycle level layout here. Those behemoths are going to be the same every time. They're just going to be some different amount of modifiers, level, or the timers are going to be different. Now you might find doing these same rotations of the same behemoths a little bit cumbersome and boring, but you know, you will have 40 days to do this, so there is time for you to, you know, take a break from the game mode. You can grind it a little bit here and there, and it is at the end of the day going to be a game mode focused on guild progression, so your guild is more of what's going to matter here. And honestly, something you could even do if you have the max cap of 100 people in your guild, you can literally say, hey, participate in one gauntlet mode hunt today, right, and complete it. And if you did that sort of a thing, you would reach this 700 levels before the end of the gauntlet season. I think 700 here is the highest they've bothered to go so far on the levels here. but most people are probably not going to be completing the level 700. And if somebody does end up completing level 700, then they could just add another cycle with some, they could add an extra modifier here or something. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. There are my element recommendations for each of the levels of the Gauntlet game mode, and that is what all of the Gauntlet cycle is going to look like. So that'll be it for this one, guys. Thank you for watching. Drop a like for me, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I have been Trevor. I go by the Mr. Trails, and I will catch you guys next time.